Before European colonization, diverse economic systems were in place across the Americas, yet none of the pre-Columbian civilizations relied on a unified currency. Despite an abundance of silver and gold, the metals most prized in Europe, these societies instead used commodities as a form of currency. Goods served to facilitate trade, reward services, and build alliances with foreign leaders, functioning as an alternative to standardized money. What is currency? Currency refers to a standardized form of money used as a medium of exchange, which doesn't necessarily have to be in the form of coins or bills, though that's the common standard today. Historically, what we now recognize as paper money was originally representative money, meaning it stood for something of intrinsic worth, like gold, but lacked inherent value itself. Modern currency, however, is mainly fiat money, valuable simply because a government declares it so. Commodity money, by contrast, derives its value directly from the material of which it is made. Such money holds intrinsic worth and is used because both trading parties recognize its value outside the act of exchange, like the iconic example of cigarettes in prisons. But how does this differ from bartering? The line isn't always sharp, yet typically a commodity used as money is universally accepted for trade across goods and services. Imagine, for instance, a farmer in 1649 who goes to the market with fresh milk to trade for eggs. If the egg seller has no need for milk and cannot easily trade it for something useful, the farmer faces a challenge. But if the farmer instead had a commodity broadly agreed upon as valuable, say tobacco, which is non-perishable, divisible, and easy to store, the egg seller would likely agree to the exchange, knowing he could use it later or exchange it for something else. In pre-Columbian America, representative or fiat currency systems were essentially absent, yet numerous valuable items served as commodity money across what we now call Mexico, Central, and South America. Gold, what it was and what it wasn't. In pre-Columbian societies, precious metals like gold held no place as standardized currency in the Americas, though they certainly existed and held cultural significance. When Columbus first arrived in the New World and saw natives on Hispaniola wearing gold ornaments, it marked the beginning of an intense hunt for gold and later silver by European colonizers. But if these metals weren't used as money, what role did they serve? For these societies, gold's value lay in its unique properties, its shine, longevity, and malleability, which made it perfect for creating ritual objects, decorations, and ceremonial regalia. Its scarcity wasn't what made it valuable. Rather, it was revered for its visual and spiritual attributes. For instance, the Inca saw gold as the sweat of the sun, a gift from their sun god, Inti. Gold was transformed into masks, statues, and ritualistic items. The Coricancha, or Temple of the Sun, in Cusco even had its walls adorned with gold sheets and a golden garden with replicas of plants and animals. Similarly, the Aztecs referred to gold as the excrement of the sun, Huitzilopochtli's gift, and used it in sacred objects and adornments for the elite. Gold masks, costumes, and religious icons made by skilled artisans were worn by leaders during ceremonies to symbolize and embody their gods. Tragically, colonizers, driven by their perception of gold's material worth, disregarded these cultural associations. Artifacts were looted and melted down for easier transport back to Europe. Historians estimate that in the first 50 years of conquest, the Spanish extracted over 100 tons of gold from the Americas, more than doubling Europe's gold reserves and triggering significant inflation there. While gold held an important place, it was not the foundation of the Americas' economies. Other resources, feathers, fine textiles, and rare shells, held substantial worth in trade and tribute, though they largely escaped the interest of gold-focused colonizers. These items, rather than precious metals, were the true drivers of economic exchange within Aztec, Maya, and Inca societies. Cozy currency, the Inca economy. The Inca economy functioned somewhat like an early form of socialism, where the people contributed to the government through labor and a portion of their agricultural yield. In return, the state provided essentials like food, shelter, and clothing. People lived within family-based communities called ailes, where cooperation was a guiding principle. The concept of aini, reciprocity, meant that resources and labor were shared with the understanding that contributions would be reciprocated later. With no wages or markets, currency was unnecessary. Instead, a state-managed trade network spanned the empire, moving regional products like wool, textiles, and ceramics to areas that lacked them. Certain goods, while lacking a fixed value, were accepted as tribute or rewards, serving as a form of unofficial currency. One commodity stood above all others in value: textiles. When the Spanish first encountered the Inca, they were presented not with gold, but with finely woven cloth, which the Inca considered their most precious material. Inca textiles required exceptional skill, made from soft, warm fibers such as alpaca and vicuña wool, native to the Andes. The labor tax, or meta, imposed on the Inca people included traditional roles like construction, farming, and military service, but also weaving. Emperors rewarded loyalty with finely crafted cloth instead of money. To meet demand for high-quality fabric, especially for the nobility, women in sacred institutions known as aclawasi, which the Spanish likened to convents, created textiles exclusively for the elite. The empire's storehouses held not only food and weapons, but vast quantities of cloth, which were used to reward soldiers, appease neighboring cultures, or as offerings in religious ceremonies where they were often burned. Though Inca textiles were highly durable, particularly in the arid Andean climate, only a few survive today. This was not due to Spanish destruction, but rather to the Inca themselves, who, valuing their textiles so highly, often burned them to prevent them from being captured by enemies, including the conquistadors. Crunchy currency, the Mayan economy. The Maya economy, unlike the centrally managed structure of the Inca, likely included elements of a market economy, particularly during the post-classic period. Labor conscription and tributes, usually in the form of crops or goods, were still essential, but archaeological evidence points to widespread trade networks and active marketplaces. While high-value items like obsidian and jadeite might be expected to be exclusive to the nobility, artifacts suggest that common people also accessed these materials, implying that they could trade or acquire them outside the restrictions of state-controlled systems. Despite their extensive trade networks, the Maya didn't use a standardized currency. Their trade was largely based on bartering both daily goods and luxuries, though some commodities served a currency-like function, including textiles and cacao seeds. Recent studies indicate that salt, a vital resource in the Maya world, may have also been utilized as a form of currency. In addition to enhancing food flavor, salt's preservation qualities, enabling long-lasting storage of meat, fish, and animal hides, boosted its trade value by making goods easier to transport. Salt production in the Maya world extended beyond household use, becoming an industry in its own right as the civilization grew. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of home-based salt production workshops in modern-day Belize, which produced more than a household could consume, along with state-run facilities producing salt at an industrial scale, clear indicators of salt's role in trade. Interestingly, salt was often shaped into standard units, like loaves or cakes, which supports the theory that it was used as a form of commodity money. Standardized units were essential for assigning consistent value in marketplaces, where salt's divisibility and measurability likely facilitated its role as a form of currency. Cocoa currency, the Aztec economy. Significantly more is known about the Aztec economy compared to that of the Maya, thanks to the Aztec civilization's continued prominence when Spanish conquistadors arrived. Similar to the Inca and Maya, the Aztecs relied on tribute from their territories, which included goods and sometimes people delivered to Tenochtitlan, the capital. These valuable tributes were often redistributed among the elites or used strategically in diplomacy with neighboring communities or potential threats. For the common Aztec citizen, marketplaces of various scales offered access to both daily necessities and higher value items, depending on their means. Conquistador Hernan Cortes observed markets ranging from small village bazaars to the massive one in Tlatelolco, which reportedly saw around 60,000 visitors daily. The Aztec society even had a formal merchant class known as the Pochteca. These traders held a prestigious role, sometimes even acting as spies while traveling long distances to bring rare goods back to Mexico, especially luxuries prized by the elite, such as feathers, obsidian, and jade. Despite this bustling market scene and rich trade network, the Aztecs largely functioned without a formal currency for most of their empire's history. What they did prize, however, was cacao. Regarded as a gift from the god Quetzalcoatl, cacao beans were valued for making xocolotl and used in religious rites and as tokens of reward. The Aztecs cultivated very little cacao within their territory, so most had to be imported, increasing its value. Only the nobility, warriors, and Pochteca primarily enjoyed its consumption. Dried cocoa beans, being durable, portable, and easy to store, served as a convenient form of currency. A 1545 record of prices in the area revealed the purchasing power of cocoa. A single bean could buy a tomato, 3 an avocado, and 30 a rabbit. Additionally, cocoa beans were often used to equalize trades where bartered goods were of unequal worth. This cocoa-based currency, however, was not immune to counterfeiting. Clever fraudsters used amaranth seed dough or avocado pits to produce fake beans, or hollowed out actual cocoa beans to fill them with sand. Even after the Spanish conquest, the Mexica continued to use cocoa beans in trade, and one Spanish official, Garcia de Palacio, noted that 200 cocoa beans were worth a single Spanish real, which contained roughly 26 grams of silver, equivalent to about $20 in modern silver value. The America's first currency, axe money. Before European colonization, coinage was absent across the Americas, but archaeologists have uncovered intriguing metal artifacts in Mesoamerica and the northern Andes that may have functioned as currency as early as the early 2nd millennium CE. These artifacts, often called axmonies or homonies, are flat bronze discs shaped like axe heads. Found in present-day regions of Peru, Ecuador, and Mexico, they likely evolved from practical axe heads once commonly traded. Evidence suggests they served various purposes, including use in funerary contexts, as they were often buried alongside the dead. However, there is no solid proof of their role as currency until the early 1500s, when they appeared in what is now Mexico. At that point, these bronze talladeros, as named by the Spanish, were given a standard value of 8,000 cocoa beans.